Today on Arch for Life's virtual studios, we're going to be making protest posters. All throughout history and all over the world, people have used protests as a way to create real change in their neighborhoods, in their communities, in their country, and in the world. And art has always played a huge role in that. Stay tuned and we'll walk you through the process of making your own protest poster about something you really care about. Hi everyone, my name's Annie and I'm the program director with Arch for Life at Mission Children's Hospital. And this is my daughter Edie.
Hi.
She's going to be helping me today. Welcome to our virtual studios where we believe
that art is for everyone.
Today we're going to be making a protest poster. What is a protest? A protest is a public expression of dissent or disagreement, and usually it happens with a large group of people.
People protest because they strongly disagree with something and want to change it. When people protest, they usually march and chant or sing. And they usually have big homemade signs that express something they believe.
One of my favorite things to do when I'm looking at photos from a protest or a video from a protest is to read all the posters that people make. They're so creative.
Peaceful protests have taken place throughout history and throughout the world, and they've led to big changes.
You've probably seen photos and videos of people protesting about all kinds of things. What have you seen people protesting about, Edie?
Well, I've seen people protesting about things like climate change, Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ rights, and gun control.
A lot of times people think that adults are the only ones who protest, but sometimes the most powerful protests come from kids.
Last fall, hundreds of thousands of kids all over the world walked out of school to demand action to combat climate change.
And just a few weeks ago, a 16-year-old named Shayla Avery in California organized a protest called Stand with Black Youth. She thought probably 100 people would come, and thousands showed up. Today we're going to walk you through the steps of making a poster about something you really care about, so that no matter where or how you share your sign, you can make your voice heard. So for your poster, what you'll need first is some poster board. Now I didn't have any, so what I did was I used 4 pieces of paper and I just taped them together on the back like this. You could also use colored paper if you wanted to. The next thing you'll need is some scratch paper. This is just any old paper you have lying around the house that you can use for practice. You'll also need some markers, and especially a thick black marker and a pencil. And if you don't want to use markers, you could also use paints. One more thing that you might use, but it's optional, is a ruler for making straight lines when you do your letters. So that's what you'll need. Edie's going to talk a little bit about how to decide what to write on your poster.
So, before you start making your poster, you want to kind of think about ideas of what you're going to put on it, and we have questions that can help you figure out what you're going to put on it. The first question is, what makes you feel big feelings? Some examples of those feelings could be anger,
frustration. That's a long word.
excitement,
and hope.
Another question that could help you think about what to put on your poster is, What do you care about, and what do you believe is really important? The third question and final question that can help you think about your poster is, what do you think needs to change? Like in your neighborhood?
What about in your city?
Or in your country?
How about in the world?
Yes, all those are good examples of places that you think need change. So now would be a good time to pause your video and think about your answers to this question, or to these questions. So if that's not enough inspiration for you, you can always go on Google and image search kids protest poster, kids climate change walkout, kids Black Lives Matter, and kids school protest, and you'll see really cool, inspiring posters that other kids made.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about some lettering, because whenever you make a sign, you want it to be big and bold, and you want people to be able to see it from far away. So in order to do that, you probably want some bubble letters. I'm going to teach you a really simple way to do bubble letters just using my name. So you could, I'm going to do this on scratch paper, you could do it with your own name. So the first thing I'm going to do with a pencil is write my name, and I'm going to write it pretty big, and I'm going to leave a little bit of space in between each letter, like that. Okay, so then I'm going to put my pencil to the side, and I'm going to take my thick black marker, and I'm going to pretend like the tip of my marker is a little ant. And the ant is going to crawl all around the letter that I wrote. All the way around until it meets back up with where it started. Like that. And then I'm going to do the same. The letter A has a hole in it, so I'm going to do the same thing inside the letter A, like that. I'm going to keep doing that around each letter, taking my time and making it thick or thin. How close your marker gets to your letter determines how thick or thin your letter is. So I'm going to start my N here. I'm crawling, my little ant is crawling all the way around. Just like that. Crawl around that part of the eye, and then don't forget the dot. Remember, E has a hole in it too, so I'm going to go back and do that in there. And then, once I've got that, what I'm going to do is put away my marker, and I'm going to take my eraser, and I'm just going to erase my lines that I drew to begin with. And when I'm done, all that will be left are just my bubble letters. Oops, let me get a little bit more. Edie has a really cool way of making bubble letters look 3D. I'm going to let her show you that right now.
Okay, so if you've ever seen a balloon or something, you might see like little shiny marks on the balloon. And you should if you want to, you can always incorporate those into your bubble letters. And just find like humpy spots or whatever to draw them on, but they're like little curved lines around the bumpy spots that help make it look shiny and 3D. And if you're gonna color back over it, then you don't want to color over it with black marker, because what you'll do is if you fill in your letters with marker or paint or whatever, then you just color around those like this. And then when you finish coloring in your letter, then you can just take your eraser and erase the lines that you drew before. And that part doesn't really matter as much, because you can see if you don't really want it to blend, it might blend depending on what you use. And you definitely want to wait to do that after the paint is dry if you're painting it. But that's how you make shiny marks.
Edies also has a really cool way of drawing a different kind of letter that she's going to show you in just a second.
Yes, and you can always remember that you can pause your video at any point in time and copy off the letters that you want to add to your poster.
Now Edie has spent some time thinking about what's important to her and answering some of those questions, and she's ready to get started. Now, for the purpose of this video and so that we can fit it into the frame, we instead of having 4 pieces of paper taped together, we just taped together 2 so you could see the whole thing. So she's gonna show us her process of making her poster.
So I've got all my materials ready for my poster, but first I'll start off with a pencil, and then I'll cover it with Sharpie later, then add a few other materials to it. You might want to use a ruler for this part if you feel more comfortable doing that.
So at the end of this letter, we're gonna speed up the video a little bit so that you can watch Edie's whole process all the way through. Thank you for joining us today on our virtual studios. We hope you felt inspired to make your own protest poster. These are the ones that we made.
Remember, yours may not look exactly like ours, but I'm 100% sure however you made it, it looks absolutely amazing.
And if you did make one, we'd love to see it. You can share it with us on social media with the hashtag ArtsForLifeNC.
We hope you continue to create with us on Arts for Life Anywhere. Bye.
Bye.